What's going on, everybody? It's your boy ENJ in your mouth. I'm glad that you're here. Welcome to the video. Okay, now today we're going to crack open a chapter of hip hop history that almost got erased. We're talking about DJ Eddie Cheeba, the forgotten disco origins of the culture, and the vocal blueprint that actually built the modern day MC. Listen very closely. We're going to travel back in time. We're about to get busy. Shout outs to Robert Brown 7896 for letting me know about DJ Eddie Cheeba. And I'm also going to be doing more research about DJ Hollywood, PDJ Jones, and Disco King Mario as soon as I have time. Again, thank you. Oh, and that's my son in the background, you hear? But thank you again, Robert Brown. I appreciate you, man. Now, we all know the established history of how this started, right? The mid 70s, the Bronx, kids tapping on street lights to power up turntables in the park, isolating drum breaks so that B-boys could get to work. It's legendary and it's completely important. It's crucial to the culture, but it is only half of the story. Parallel to those gritty park jams, there was a completely different, highly lucrative nightclub empire stretching across Manhattan, Harlem, and Queens. We're talking velvet ropes, high end discotheques, and a soundtrack of polished early disco and hard funk. And the biggest shift of the era? The DJ officially replaced the live band as the absolute center of the party. Ruling over this parallel universe was Edward Sturgis, known to the streets as DJ Eddie Cheeba. He wasn't just spinning records, he was the undisputed king of the disco side of early hip hop, a primary innovator of modern emceeing and the direct catalyst for the commercialized rap industry. To really grasp this, you have to deeply analyze the sociological divide at the time. Grandmaster Flash summed it up brilliantly. The scene was split into the shoe people and the sneaker people. The sneaker people were the inner city teenagers and street youth of the Bronx. They rocked denim, sneakers, and chains, and they were completely rejecting polished disco hits. They wanted raw, heavy, obscure funk break beats played in parks and school gyms to fuel floor based breakdancing. But here's where the history gets really deep. There is an actual academic debate over what a breakbeat even is. DJs like Eddie Cheeba, DJ Hollywood, and Pete DJ Jones had access to the exact same heavy funk records as Kool Herc. But some historians argue a breakbeat didn't truly become a breakbeat until dancers decided to drop to the floor to breakdance. Cheba wasn't isolating breaks for floor based dancing. He was playing those records for standing dances like the hustle, the freak, the bump, and the bus stop. Exact same wax, completely different physical reaction. Now, on the other side, you have the shoe people. This was Eddie Cheeba's domain. Adults, college kids, and jet setters hitting premium spots like Small's Paradise and Charles Gallery. They demanded a sophisticated aesthetic, tailored suits, elegant dresses, and hard bottom dress shoes. Now, it wasn't a 100% strict divide between the suits and the sneakers. There were middle grounds. Up at the Renaissance Ballroom in Harlem, the Rennie, promoter Willie Gums was hosting something called the Rolls Royce Movement, championed by legends like Love Bug Starsky and the Sapphire Crew. This was basically hip hop with class. Young people dressed elegantly but still fully engaging with the raw hip hop aesthetic. But Cheba lived right at the nexus of these two antagonistic worlds. He took the lush melodic parts of R&B hits and layered undeniable rhythmic hip hop MCing right over them. Chuck D of Public Enemy said it best. He put a bow tie on hip hop at the time to get it through. He made a controversial street genre acceptable to a massive, affluent demographic. He completely transformed the structure of the DJ. And let's be clear, he didn't just walk into an empty arena. By 1975, Cheba had to distinguish himself in a highly competitive New York nightlife circuit against older pioneers like Pete DJ Jones, Grandmaster Flowers, DJ Plummer, Maboya, and the Smith Brothers. He also had vital relationships early on. Growing up alongside DJ Reggie Wells and the Douglas houses, older pioneers would just talk over the instrumental breaks with smooth jive talk, like radio announcers. Cheba evolved this into a syncopated performance art called house rockin'. He didn't talk over the records, he performed with them. He built the actual anatomy of crowd control. This wasn't just a guy yelling spontaneously on a mic. Cheba created this like a touring R&B act. He actually rented out a city loft just to relentlessly rehearse these choreographed BPM match routines with his DJ Easy G before they ever hit the club. Easy G strictly handled the turntables so Cheba could command the mic, setting the absolute standard for future hip hop groups. He even had backup performers called the Cheba Girls. And we have to talk about the economics because you can't understand the era without understanding the cash flow. Back then, an average Bronx DJ might make $150 a gig and have to haul their own massive sound system. Because of his immense draw, Eddie Cheeba was charging $500 an hour back in the 70s. Okay? He could play a set in Harlem, then jump in a car and get paid for a second hour in Long Island the exact same night. A lot of wealth flowed through Club 371 in the Bronx. It was an absolute behemoth that cleared $1 million at the door at its peak. The money was so long that the owners actually bought DJ Hollywood a Cadillac and bribed the DMV just to get him a driver's license. Fun fact, the famous Hotel, Motel, Holiday Inn chant from Rapper's Delight, it wasn't an original lyric. Mhm. It was stolen directly from organic patron routines right here at Club 371. Cheba and DJ Hollywood were a legendary duo, occasionally billed as the supergroup DJ Eddie Hollywood Cheba. They collaboratively developed the call and response tactics that birthed the styles of Dougie Fresh, Biz Markie, and Kid Capri. Hollywood served as an aggressive business mentor, teaching the initially hesitant Cheba to demand his true market value. Cheba and DJ Hollywood were known as Uptown royalty, but they moved completely differently. Hollywood was the elitist. He refused to play rougher venues. He divisively called Disco Fever a drugstore. Cheba was the egalitarian. He'd play anywhere, including youth oriented college gigs in Queens and Long Island. Because he reached those younger suburban crowds, his specific style directly impacted the generation that built the recorded rap industry. Russell Simmons described watching Cheba as feeling like he had just witnessed the invention of the wheel. Motivated entirely by this performance, Simmons abandoned gang life. He transitioned into party promotion, forming Management. Rush Management subsequently evolved into Def Jam Recordings. No, you are not seeing things. I did get a haircut. Had to. Now, the defending catalyst for that industry happened in a single night in Harlem in 1977. A grieving college student heavily entrenched in gang culture walks into the Charles Gallery. That student was Russell Simmons. He watches Cheba command the room with a rhythmic cadence over Parliament's flashlight and realizes right then that the MC was the undisputed life of the party. Simmons later said it felt like watching the invention of the wheel. He abandoned gang life, transitioned into party promotion, and laid the seeds for Def Jam. Now, Simmons needed an artist. So he recruited a kid named Kurtis Walker and modeled his entire performative persona after Cheba. In the 70s, Cheba was street slang for marijuana. So Simmons christened his artist Kurtis Blow, slang for cocaine, to evoke that exact same intoxicating force. To legitimize him in the clubs, Blow was marketed early on as the disco son of Eddie Cheeba. Cheeba's influence kept spreading. Bootleg tapes of his call and response sets circulated heavily among college kids. Out on Long Island, a group of Adelphi University students called Spectrum Sound studied these tapes religiously. You might know them better by their final name, Public Enemy. Chuck D unequivocally credits Cheba for his legendary voice command and sense of timing. So, why isn't Cheba's name universally recognized today? Because the 1979 transition to recorded vinyl was volatile and unpredictable. The mainstream industry dismissed rap as a fad, and the club legends looked at a 3-minute piece of wax and thought it was physically impossible to capture the kinetic energy of a 3-hour live set. So, this made them hesitate. That hesitation and some backdoor deals cost them greatly. Producers Rockford and J.B. Moore conceptualized a holiday rap record called Christmas Rappin'. Their absolute first choice to record it was Eddie Cheeba, but they also met with Grandmaster Flash, Lovebug Starsky, and the young Kurtis Blow. Russell Simmons executed a master stroke of management, relentlessly lobbying the producers to overlook the older legend and take a chance on his highly marketable college protege. Cheba ended up getting shelved. You hear me? The record went gold and launched Kurtis Blow's career into the stratosphere. The craziest part, when Kurtis Blow and a young DJ Run wrote the second half of that record, they relied heavily on the exact party routines they learned by watching Cheba and DJ Hollywood. It gets worse. Across the river, producer Sylvia Robinson was desperate for authentic club talent. Her absolute first choice for a new track was Love Bug Starsky. When he passed, she reached out to DJ Hollywood, requesting that he and Cheba record the track together. Hollywood apparently arrogantly declined the offer, viewing records as beneath him, and shockingly withheld the information entirely from Cheba. It went to the Sugar Hill Gang instead, who famously lifted their rhymes from Grandmaster Caz and lifted their stage routines directly from Cheba's home turf, Club 371. That track became Rapper's Delight. Cheba later said, if I had done that record, do you have any idea what my life would be like right now? That's heavy. We only have one solitary artifact of Cheba on wax. In the late 1970s, they released a track called Looking Good, Shake Your Body. It was funded by the owners of Club 371. It bypassed heavy funk for a slick, driving, four on the floor disco arrangement. It perfectly encapsulates the high end aesthetic of the Shoe People and demonstrates his flawless, raspy voiced crowd control. Musicologists actually consider it an early foundational influence on the subsequent development of house music. As the 80s rolled in and rap shifted to the aggressive drum machine sound of Run DMC, many Bronx pioneers struggled with poverty. But Cheba leveraged his talent to conquer a completely different market. In the early 80s, he got a call for a short term trip to do a DJ competition, well, multiple DJ competitions in France. A lot of Bronx DJs lacked the industry connections to go global, but Cheba had the polish and the network. He realized the European market was years behind New York's technical innovations. That short trip evolved into a massive and highly lucrative 8-year residency, spinning for a European financial elite that drove Ferraris and wore tuxedos. He eventually returned to the United States completely insulated from the financial struggles of his peers. He utilized the substantial wealth he accumulated to build a highly stable life, eventually owning a successful funeral business, a limo service, and a DJ service. And even without Billboard chart presence, his legacy among the true architects remained absolutely unquestioned. On August 11, 2023, people globally were celebrating the 50th anniversary of hip hop. And on that day, he gave us his final act. Despite suffering increasingly severe health issues and at least 3 debilitating strokes, he took the microphone at Rap Mania 50. Backed by DJ Kevy Kev Rockwell, he delivered his iconic catchphrase one last time to the roar of the crowd, publicly wishing for the culture to thrive for another 50 years. A few months later, on the morning of February 13th, 2024, he passed away from cardiac arrest at age 67. When he passed, the foundational community sent profound ripples of grief. Russell Simmons, the man whose entire empire was sparked by Cheba's voice, publicly mourned him. Simmons chastised the broader community for being too uneducated to give him his proper flowers, reiterating that before rap records even existed, the entire culture revolved around a holy trinity: DJ Hollywood, Lovebug Starsky, and Eddie Cheeba. To really sum up his impact, you have to look at his residency at Broadway International in Harlem right before he left for Europe in the early 80s. Attendees from that era vividly recall that his MC flow, his DJ playlist, and the overall club vibe were utterly life changing. He effectively bridged the gap between the twilight of the disco era and the absolute dawn of the recorded rap golden age. He provided the essential, unshakable bridge between the era of the live band and the era of the rapper by taking raw, disparate elements and forging them into a highly interactive, syncopated vocal art form. Without the holy trinity of Cheba, Hollywood, and Lovebug Starsky, I do not believe that we would have rap or even hip hop be what it is today. So I challenge you to do this. Look back, really, on the history of hip hop and see everything that interconnects from the beginning all the way until now. And I promise you, you will find some things that are magical. Hip hop wasn't just born in the burned down parks of the Bronx. It was simultaneously forged under the velvet ropes and spinning disco balls of Manhattan and Harlem nightclubs. And Eddie Cheeba was, in the most authentic and literal sense, the architect of the sound. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Hip hop will live forever. It'll never die, as long as we keep the history alive. All right? Peace.